What happens when you know something isn't right with your child, but every expert tells you everything's fine? Today we're talking about a deeply personal and courageous new book, Ashes to Armor, Finding God in the Fire by Greg Wyatt. It's the father's story of autism regression, medical dismissal, quiet grief, and a faith tested in ways that most of us can't imagine. This isn't theory, it's a lived experience. It's resilience forged in fire. This book is available now on Amazon. Let's meet Greg and find out some more.
By far my favorite station.
You're the best. Oh, yeah.
I love you guys.
This is UK Talk Radio, with the music you love and the chat you enjoy.
By far my favorite station.
You're the best. Oh, yeah.
I love you guys.
It's a pleasure today to talk to the author Greg Wyatt about his courageous book, Ashes to Armor, Finding God in the Fire. Now, for any parent, you expect that life is going to go along a certain path with a child. You look forward to things like going to the baseball game together, sharing experiences. But for you, Greg, those things were stolen from you. We're going to talk about that in a minute. We're going to talk about how that affected your faith. But first of all, what did you expect your life to look like before fatherhood changed it?
Well, before I became a father, I thought responsibility meant providing, building stability, and, moving forward in a traditional sense of success. I expected a very predictable path: work hard, build something meaningful, and watch my children grow up healthy and strong. But fatherhood did not give me the life I expected. But it revealed to me who I really was, and it changed my mission.
And was there a moment when you realized this wasn't going to resolve itself on its own?
Yeah, there definitely was. It wasn't dramatic, but it was quiet. It was gradual. We weren't moving forward anymore. We weren't catching up. We were losing ground. My kids just wasn't working. And I kept waiting for someone to say, here's what's happening, and here's how we fix it. I was waiting for a solution, but that moment never came. And that's when I found out and discovered I knew this wasn't going to resolve on its own.
That's a difficult situation to have reached, but obviously a situation of understanding. What did support look like in reality versus what you expected it to be?
Well, I was kind of new to the whole thing. I expected structured support, professionals guiding us through a clear path forward. But what I experienced instead was reassurance without resolution. There were appointments, but no clear direction. The strongest support ended up being personal, not institutional. The few people who truly listened and the resolve I found within myself to advocate for my children myself rather than relying on other people was the key to my life and that of my kids.
Now, you have spoken openly, so what is the personal cost of actually speaking openly about your experiences? Pretty dynamic. The cost has included criticism, strained relationships, and periods of isolation. But remaining silent, if I wouldn't have said anything, that would have cost me far more. So I chose the peace of consciousness and comfort. And you're in a very difficult situation. How do you grieve when your child is still alive but profoundly changed?
That's one of the hardest things that I've had to deal with. That kind of grief is so complicated because you're not grieving for your child, you're grieving for the future that you imagine them to be. Going to baseball games, taking them out camping, going to football games, throwing a frisbee, teaching them how to drive. none of that happened, and never, any of that would have never happened. My son's 28 years old. He's like a 3-year-old. And he's been stuck there now for over a quarter of a century. So what I do is I grieve privately, but you've got to learn how to adapt. You redefine that joy that you used to have into something different, because grief becomes something you carry, not something that consumes you. You learn to hold sorrow for what was lost and gratitude for what remains. And every day, you choose love.
And you talk there about everything that a parent dreams about, all those things, going to a baseball game, all those things that you're going to look forward to. So you found yourself in a very unusual position. So what does prolonged caregiving do to a person's sense of self?
Very, very difficult. Long-term caregiving, it narrows your world, and it tested my identity. The person that I thought I was ended up being something totally different through this process. But if you let it, it reshapes you, not into something weaker, but into something more grounded and purposeful. In many ways, caregiving stripped away who I thought I was, and it revealed who I actually am. It was a transformation.
And what do people misunderstand most about parents in a long-term caregiving role?
That's a great question. People often think long-term caregiving is a phase, that it starts and it's going to end. But it's not. It's a life. It doesn't clock out. And what's most misunderstood is that I'm not a hero. I'm just a parent responding to what's in front of me. I simply do what love requires. I've had to learn how to adapt basically every portion of my life.
And that's a human thing, isn't it? A very human thing, looking for a beginning and an end. And in your situation, there isn't an end; it's a continuation. So, did your understanding of meaning or responsibility change through this?
100%. I used to think that responsibility was about provision and progress, the normal way of thinking. Now I understand it as presence and perseverance, a complete paradigm shift. And I have to remember that purpose isn't always found in what I accomplish, but it's found in what you carry and who you remain when things never resolve.
And I think for many people, it would be easy to be bitter going through the experiences that you've been through. But what helped you actually avoid becoming bitter?
Well, there were a lot of moments when bitterness would have been the easy path. And believe me, I don't walk on water. And for a lot of time during this transition, I carried that bitterness. But I found it would consume me, and I chose not to dwell on the bitterness. That would have been the easy path. But I realized it wouldn't help me or my children or my wife. It wouldn't help anyone.
And this has been quite a journey for you. What do you wish someone had told you at the beginning of all this?
Oh, I wish someone would have told me it's not a sprint, but it's a lifelong journey. It's not something that starts and then goes away. So I have to pace myself to protect my strength. And that's okay to grieve. And I will still fiercely love at the same time. I'm not going to let that define me, my journey, my purpose.
And for someone who's quietly living this right now, what would you like them to gain from this? What would you like them to hear?
Well, that's kind of why I do this. This isn't the end of the world. It's just the beginning of something totally different than you envisioned. You are not weak for feeling overwhelmed. Being overwhelmed, it happened to me, and it still happens to me. And I have to readjust and rethink and turn it over to God. I've always been a Christian, but for many times I walked away and turned my back on God. And during this whole time, he was there for me. All I had to do was open the door. So I'd like people to understand that you don't need every answer today. Pace yourself. Don't isolate yourself. Your child doesn't need a perfect parent. They need one that's present in the moment. And even if it feels like it's unseen, you got to remember what you're doing matters.
And you mentioned your faith there. So has this changed your faith in any way? What has this actually done to your faith in God?
It's strengthened it. I have a saying, through challenges I find strength. Through adverse situations I find strength. We as human beings, when things are going great, it's easy to forget God. But when things fall apart and you're down on your knees, you start crying out because you can't do it alone. And that's where I was at. It opened up a realm of contact with my Savior that I'd had in my heart all these times, all these years. But when I was younger, it made me more bitter, a little more cynical. And I had to get out of that. Because if you don't, it'll consume you. That's why I wrote this book, Ashes to Armor, Finding God in the Fire. That's what I had to do. And it's my story of autism, medical betrayal, and resilient truth. It's a lifetime of living wrapped up on 300 pages, consuming decades of my life, all encapsulated right here. And I encourage anyone that can identify with these questions and answers to get the book. It's on Amazon. It's a great book. It's got super reviews, and I'm very proud of what it's come to.
Greg, it's a poignant story. It's been an absolute pleasure to talk to you on UK Talk Radio. Thank you for taking the time to tell your story and also encouraging many other people who will be in the same situation as you. Thank you.
Thank you. I wanted to close with this. I want everyone to know that I did not choose my path, but I do choose how I would walk in it. And I'd encourage all of your listeners to take that to heart. And if this message resonates with you, take it from there.
That's a powerful message and a powerful way to end our interview. Greg, thank you. It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Greg. It's been an absolute pleasure. Today on UK Talk Radio, I've been talking to Greg Wyatt, who's the author of 4 books exploring fatherhood, grief, faith, and the personal cost of confronting powerful institutions. His work blends memoir, investigative commentary, and spiritual reflection, grounded in lived experience rather than ideology. Once again, the book that we've been talking about is called Ashes to Armor. And this incredible book has made it into the UK Talk Radio Best Books Chart 2026. To find out further details and vote for this book, simply go to uktalkradio.org, that's uktalkradio.org, and click the link that says The Best Books Chart 2026. The Best Books Chart 2026. Scroll down and find this book by Greg Wyatt. Click the green arrow next to it, and the book that you're looking for, the book that we've been talking about today, Ashes to Armor, Finding God in the Fire.